All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Moumita coming to you live to talk to you about immigration, to see what is on your mind and to see what questions are your hot topic. So thank you so much for joining me. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years. And it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. So thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Heidi. Hello, the real deal HUD, Sarin. And I had a special guest that wanted to say hello to everybody tonight.
Hello. Okay,
All right,
bye-bye.
it's time for him to go to bed. Thank you for joining. Let me know what your immigration questions are. And sí, Jillian, sí, yo puedo hablar en un poco español. Si ustedes tienen una pregunta en español, puede escríbemelo aquí y voy a preguntar. And yes, I will try to speak as best as I can in Spanish. So thank you so much for joining. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about immigration. Let me know what country you're from and what state you live in. I always love to hear where my followers are from. If you are a current client, thank you so much for trusting us with your case. And also thank you for all of your patience. I know that sometimes things take a little bit longer than we want, but I really appreciate everyone's trust and faith in us out there. The first question I have is how hard, from Navdeep, who is asking, how hard is it to get an approval after an NOID, notice of intent to deny? Okay, great question. Jana Lee, we miss you. Yes, thank you so much. I miss coming on here too. It's been so busy. I want to give everybody a little bit of idea about what is happening in immigration right now, because everyone, this is definitely an interesting time that we're living in. Things are not really that great, but I want everybody to know that we are still getting approvals of our cases on the daily. We are getting approvals on the daily. However, we are also having to do a lot more work now because we're getting lots of interviews. We're getting lots of requests for evidence. So things are just a little bit more work, but I want everybody to know that it is not impossible. It is not impossible. I don't want you to lose hope. I know that you're probably all scared. Everyone is super, super frightened of what's going to happen and of getting arrested and detained or of getting their case denied. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you because it seems like everywhere you turn, this government just wants to shut you down as much as possible, even though you've really done nothing wrong. It's important to know, though, that there is still hope out there. We are still getting clients their green cards, their work permits, their cases approved. Just yesterday, we had a client come into the office to pick up her green card, and we are still seeing good news on the daily. So I don't want you to give up hope. I know that you're scared. I know that you're frightened about what's going to happen, but it is important to not give up the fight, okay? So the first question I had is, so Jana Lee, yes, I've been busy and I have not been coming out here live, but I miss talking to you, okay? And I want to be here for all of you as much as I can. So thank you, Jana. So Navdeep is asking, how hard is it to get an approval after a notice of intent to deny? So what is a notice of intent to deny? A notice of intent to deny is a letter that immigration sends you saying that they intend to deny your case. It is not the same as a request for evidence, because a request for evidence is basically saying that, hey, we believe that you haven't proven all of the merits of your case. We believe that you have not given sufficient evidence for to establish eligibility in your case. But a notice of intent to deny is essentially saying we don't agree at all that you qualify for this case, and we're intending to deny it. So you still get a chance to respond. And the thing with the notice of intent to deny is that you only get 30 days to respond back to the government to show them why they should not deny your case. So can you still get your case approved after you get a notice to deny? And the answer is yes, of course you can. What matters is how you address every single allegation that is inside of that NOID, how much evidence you put in, and how you argue it. It's really, really important to work with an experienced attorney, especially if you get an NOID, because this is basically do or die at this point. If you get denied, yeah, that's it. But it's also important to know that sometimes, even if you get denied, you can still appeal certain things, okay? Paza Pata is asking, waiting on my green card after filing the I-751 in July. Is it really an average 2-year wait now? Paza Pata Data, yes, it is an average 2-year wait, but it's not new. It's been an average 2 to 3 year wait sometimes for the I-751 application for the past 5 years, really. So it's always taken a very long time. And that is exactly why, about 10 years ago, they would give a 1-year extension when you file your I-751. Then after that, they started to give a 2-year extension. And now they give you a 4-year extension when you file your I-751, precisely because they know they're going to take a long time. And if your case ends up getting a request for an interview or a request for evidence, it's going to take even longer. And I spoke with someone earlier today who just got his green card through his marriage to a United States citizen. So he has a 2-year green card, but his story is like that of so many of you out there because he's been going through a lot in his marriage. And when I spoke to him today, I had the opportunity to speak to him, and there's so many things happening. I won't get into all the details, but this is probably familiar to a lot of you, where his spouse is threatening him a lot, always threatening to divorce him every time they're upset. Right? And how does it feel to you that if you know that you have a green card based upon your marriage, you're in love with somebody, you're with them for the right reasons, and yes, of course, maybe you got a green card through them, but you've got to have a green card to have a life together here. But every time they're mad at you, every time they're upset, they threaten to kick you out. They threaten to divorce you. They tell you, you better keep me happy or else you know what's going to happen. That is emotional manipulation. That is holding your immigration status over your head. So if you have a 2-year green card, what I want you to know is that this is going to happen for a long time. If you have a 2-year green card and you're thinking, what should I do? Should I try to battle this out? Should I try to stick it out through these hard times with my spouse because, I need them to file for me? You need to know that you have an option to file by yourself. And I encouraged this person to go ahead and look into filing by himself because of the fact that if you want to wait it out and file together with your spouse, you need to make it through the next 2 years. And on top of that, once you file your I-751, you got to make it through another 2 more years after that too. So if your spouse is constantly threatening to walk out on you, if your spouse is constantly threatening to divorce you, if your spouse is constantly saying they're going to get you in trouble and you're afraid that they're going to call immigration on you, if they demean you, they humiliate you, they call you names, they make your life miserable, how much longer do you want to put up with this? Wouldn't you rather know that you can file by yourself and have the freedom to walk away if you want, instead of staying beholden to a relationship where somebody who should love you and who should take care of you instead is using you and holding your immigration status over your head at every turn? That is just simply not right. It is simply not right. And I want you to know that if you have a 2-year green card, you may be able to file by yourself, especially where your spouse is manipulating you. And it gives you the choice to live your life more freely and to be free. Okay. So give our office a call, 212-248-7907, if you want to explore your options, because nobody deserves to be treated that way because of where you are born, right? Mariam Najafi is asking, how long does it take to receive a notice of receipt for a VAWA case? Mariam, hello. It is taking between 3 to 5 months right now to get those receipts. Emeka, good evening, lawyer. Is it safe to travel internationally currently with the pending asylum EAD? That's a really good question, Emeka. So Emeka, and anyone who has filed for asylum, you can only really leave the United States if you have a case in process, if you have an approved I-131. And an asylum work permit does not give you the ability to travel internationally and come back, because an EAD underneath asylum does not usually carry with it an advance parole. And what you would want to have is an advance parole. But it's from what I know, you can't really get an advance parole through asylum. However, you may be able to get an advance parole through VAWA. Did you know that if you are in a relationship if you're in a marriage to a United States citizen, or if you're in a marriage to a green card holder, and your marriage has turned manipulative, again, if your spouse is constantly threatening you, making you feel obligated to do certain things, they demean you, they humiliate you, then you may be eligible to file for a VAWA self-petition. And if you qualify for a VAWA self-petition, you may also qualify to file for a work permit and also a travel document at the same time. And through that, you may be able to travel. But I just want to let everybody know that during these very, very momentous times. We, at least in my office, we tell clients to, even if you have advanced parole, you want to be very, very careful about traveling internationally, because advanced parole is not an automatic guarantee to being able to return to the United States. You still have to go through Customs and Border Patrol, and they still reserve the ultimate right to admit people into the country or not. And even with advanced parole, they could say no to you. So it's never 100% guaranteed that you'll be able to come back. Although I do have to say, we've never had a client not be able to return. Okay. So if you want to learn more about getting an advanced parole, about filing for a valid self-petition, give our office a call at 212-248-7907. Hey, Ruben. From Mrs. Sosa, I'm an LPC in Pennsylvania, wondering if I could be a referral source for your clients in PA. Yes, send me a DM, MRS Sosa. Okay, Juan Flores, 1993. I have DACA and I've been married to my wife, who's a U.S. citizen, and I have a child. Can I qualify for a green card from marriage? From Juan Flores. Juan Flores, thank you so much for your question. Okay, great question. If you have DACA and you've been married to a United States citizen, if you haven't already filed for a green card by now, it's probably because you most likely don't have proof of a legal entry into the United States. So if you have DACA and you're married to a United States citizen, can you file for a green card? And the answer is going to be yes, no, maybe. We have to figure it out, because number one, we need to see what kind of entry do you have to the United States. If you came in as a child, maybe you were brought in by your parents and you don't have proof, right? So you may not, if you don't have legal proof of admission into the United States, then your case just got a lot more harder, because now we have to do a lot of workarounds to figure out how to get you processed here in the US. Because if we can't do that, then you have to leave the United States in order to do you have to do a provisional waiver before you leave, and then go process at the consulate in your country. Okay, so that's number one. Number one, if you're DACA, we have to see if you have a legal entry to the United States. Number two, if you don't have a legal entry to the United States, but you have DACA, now is the time to file for your advanced parole, because as a DACA holder, you may be eligible for advanced parole. And for DACA, the way that you ask for advanced parole is for like an urgent humanitarian reason, education, for work. So there's a few different ways you can ask for advanced parole. And should you travel? Well, if you're looking for a legal entry, if you have that legal entry, got that stamp in your passport, it is going to make your life so much easier to be able to file for a green card once you return, and you and your beautiful wife and your child can live happily after, right? I mean, of course, there are some risks, but again, like I said, we've not had any problems with people being able to return using advanced parole. But also, guys, we are in Trump 2.0. Now is the time. If you have DACA and you have not yet filed for advanced parole, what are you waiting for? Please file it now before they take this away. If they take it away, then you're really going to be stuck at square one, right? So if you have DACA, you may be able to file for advanced parole. And if you get advanced parole, and if you feel comfortable enough to travel, you go out, you come back in, you get a stamp on your passport, and then you can pretty much immediately file for a green card with your wife through a regular adjustment of status process. Now, step number 3, what if you don't want to do advanced parole, you're too scared to go out, and you do not want to leave the United States at all? Well, then we need to see what other options you qualify for. So if you've got DACA, maybe we want to see what's happening in your marriage. Is your wife controlling? Is she toxic? Does she talk about your immigration status all the time in a bad way and make you feel like you are inferior? Does she take out her anger on you all the time, right? If that's the case, then maybe you qualify for a self-petition. And if that's the case, then you would not need to leave the United States. And yes, it's a case based upon your marriage, but it would not be with your wife, okay? And it does not harm your wife, but it could give you the benefit of basically legalizing without ever having to leave. Number 2, if you tell me that no, there's 0 problems and I don't want to do that, well, then maybe we can look to see if you qualify for a T visa, okay? A T visa is a little bit of a longer route, but if you have worked for anyone here in the United States who has exploited you, treated you badly, been racist, been discriminatory, does not give you breaks, threatens you with immigration, calls you names, makes you afraid, And essentially, you're really working out of them, not really of your own free will, but because you're afraid of what's going to happen to you if you don't listen to them, then you may qualify for a T visa. Now, a T visa is not an immediate pathway to a green card. Once you get it approved, you have to wait about 3 years and then you can file for a green card, but it is still a way that does not require you to leave the United States. Okay, Juan, so maybe those are 3 ways that you might be able to fix your status if you're a DACA and you don't want to leave the United States, or you do want to leave, whatever is the issue. Also, okay, I guess the fourth way. The fourth way is if none of these things apply to you, you can't do advanced parole, you're not eligible for a VAWA, you're not eligible for a T, then basically your wife would file an I-130 for you, and you would wait for it to get approved, and then you'd also file for something called a provisional waiver, and then you leave the United States to go process in your home country for an interview, and that is called the waiver process. And we'd be happy to help with, with all the above. So give us a call, 212-248-7907. The real deal HUD, I don't think I got your question actually. Okay. KK, hey, how are you? Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay. James, hello. Faiz, hello. Shara, hello. Okay. So Ganesh is asking, I'm from India. How long is the VAWA process taking to get a work permit these days? I would say if you want to file for a work permit through VAWA, and you can only do that if you're filing an I-485 concurrently with your I-360. So just remember, the VAWA process is kind of 2 parts. There's a VAWA, but then there's a green card, and they're not the same. So if you get approved for VAWA, you get deferred action, you get protection against deportation, and you do get a work permit at the end of the approval. But if you file your VAWA with the I-485 green card application, then the work permit comes a little bit sooner. And for that, the work permit is taking about 6 to 8 months to get, I would say. Okay. I'm so sorry, Thelma. My husband died. Can I still continue my VAWA? I'm so sorry, my dear. I'm so sorry to hear that. So yes, if your husband or your spouse has passed away, can you still file for VAWA? Yes, you can. And there's a limit of 2 years from the time of their death. Okay. And we've done it actually for people whose spouses have passed away because, what you suffered is still what you suffered, even if you love them, even if they're no longer gone. Now you have to really think about how you can move your life forward, right? So Thelma, even, I'm sorry about your husband. Even though he passed away, you may still be able to file for VAWA, but there's a 2-year deadline. So you gotta get a move on it. So give us a call, Thelma, 212-248-7907. Eddie, thank you so much. Blessings to you too, my dear. Digital Dreamscape, how can an individual expedite their entire file for a FOIA request if they have a pending naturalization date on file? All right, expedites. Expedites. Let me talk about expedites. I regret to inform everyone that USCIS is barely approving expedite requests for anything these days. We have not been successful in filing in getting approved any sort of expedites. But if you want to expedite your FOIA request, it's the same process. You got to show the urgent need for why you need it expedited. Usually, you've got to show an urgent humanitarian need or some sort of huge risk of loss of something, okay? So you can try it that way. You've always got to remember to put in physical proof, documentary proof about why you need an expedite approved, okay? I hope that helps. Ooh, Emilia, I just had my interview. My husband's from Iran and they want the special booklets of divorce. He gave his court divorce papers. I'm worried it's going to be denied. Any idea? Emilia, it's been such a very long time since I did a case for somebody from Iran, but yes, I believe if you have a divorce, you do have to show that. But one thing that I could recommend is that anytime you are trying to figure out if your documents are good enough, just Google the NBC reciprocity page and then go down to your country name and then click on your country name and then look at the documents that are listed, and it will tell you exactly what format of documentation the US government requires for a birth certificate, a divorce certificate, a marriage certificate, adoption documents, police records, criminal records, death certificates. It will tell you exactly by each country exactly what they need. So Emilia, I don't remember what is required for Iran because it's been a long time since I've done a case from Iran, but look there first, okay? I would I would recommend you do that. Okay. Danilo on YouTube, I'm going to answer your question next, so give me a second. But let me go back to my IG family. Hello, IG. How hard is it, from Christina, how hard is it to approve an I-485 with VAWA after recommended denial to a supervisor from an interviewer? Mom, what happened to you there, Christina? That is so interesting. So why did they recommend you for denial? That I don't know. I don't know enough about that. So, Christina, maybe you can write a little bit more about your situation so I could talk about it more. Yeah, Juan Flores, please give us a call, 212-248-7907. Zain Atari, I applied for my husband to come to the US in 2024 January, and I only have a green card. How long do you think it will take for him to come? It's been 9 months. Well, you got to wait on the visa bulletin, and it just goes up and down, my friend. Maybe another year and a half, I would say. Hadisa, I'm married American. He never did my paperwork. It didn't work. I overstayed 1.5 years and I left by myself because it was a very bad marriage. I intend to divorce, and now I'm worried I won't be allowed back. From Hadisa. Hadisa, I'm so sorry to hear about what you've gone through. Now, here is something that you should know. If you were married to a United States citizen before and you tried to make it work, you were here in the US, you did live together and you suffered and you left, even if you left the United States, did you know that still be able to come back? Because you don't need to be inside the United States to file for VAWA protection. You can still file for VAWA even if you're now outside of the US. Even if you're stuck outside the US, you can still file for VAWA. You just have to show that part of your abuse happened in the United States. So if you were already here and then you left, then it sounds like you probably have a good case. So Hadisa, give us a call back, 212-248-7907. Again, the time does, it does take some time. It will still take about 3 to 4 years for you to be able to come back. But the good news is that you will be able to come back. Okay, Hadisa, 212-248-7907. Okay, Danilo, let me get your question here. I have 26 months after, it's already been 26 months since I filed a joint I-751, but my marriage is not working out well. What can I do? This is probably one of my most important questions that I answer, because if you have a 2-year conditional green card, the time for you to take action is now. It's now. Be on the offense, not on the defense if you have an I-751. As I explained to somebody earlier, I love this sports analogy because in life, we should try to be on the offense and be prepared as much as we can, and not be on the defense reacting where it affects something as important as our life. And if you have already been waiting for your I-751 to be processed, but now your marriage is not working out, you need to take action now, because if they call for an interview or send you a request for evidence and your spouse does not show up or you can't respond to it properly, you're going to get denied. And a denied I-751 puts you into immigration court immediately, okay? And if your marriage is not working out, Danilo, I would recommend you reach out to us, 212-248-7907, because you may be able to amend your joint I-751 to a single, basically to a request for a waiver based upon extreme cruelty, for example, especially if your marriage is not working out. Now, your marriage, I'm wondering if what you're suffering, because you might be going through a lot. Oftentimes I hear that from clients that my spouse became controlling. They kept telling me that I owed them for my papers, and they make me pay for everything now. They constantly call me names. They put me down. They humiliate me in public. They don't let me see my family. They don't let me go out with my friends. And basically, I'm like a servant to them, right? If these are the things that are happening to you, please give us a call, 212-248-7907. USA 24 Bangla. After 8 years, I got my interview next month. What to do? I don't know. USA 24, it sounds like it's your asylum interview. So if you finally get your asylum interview years after waiting, what to do? Prepare. Prepare. You have 8 months still, right? Oh, it's next month. Oh, you got to work fast. You got to track down your lawyer and start preparing now. You might have to like put together supplementary evidence for your asylum interview. Okay, but good luck, USA 24. I wish you well. Kadex Bell, I got married and filed a petition. I'm married to a US citizen, but I don't have pictures of the wedding. Will that be an issue? And I overstayed my visa. We have a lot of joint evidence. Okay, great question. A lot of people who have joint marriage cases are very afraid to go to their interviews because they overstay their visa. And maybe you heard somewhere that people are getting detained or denied. And I want to say that over the past 60 days, we in my office, I think we've gone to probably like between 6 to 12 interviews. All of these clients have had overstays, their visas expired, and I'm happy to say no, not one person got arrested. I do want to point out that a couple of days ago, we also had an interview for somebody who had criminal convictions and she did not get arrested. So if you're worried about this, it's not something that we're seeing happen. And if you don't have pictures of your wedding, that may be an issue because you're going to want to know why, right? And if you're filing a joint marriage application now, you need to be careful to make sure you're adding as much evidence as possible right now. Joint taxes, joint lease, joint everything. And if you don't have anything right now, then you might want to consider waiting at least a few months until you build up some of that evidence before you file, okay? And we would love to help you with that. You can give us a call, 212-248-7907. Flyboy, how long is an I-601A taking for approval? About 2 to 3 years. What do you think of PR spouse filing for me? My status as an F1 student will be over in 3 years' time. Delighted Mandy. If you're still in status, delighted Mandy, and your spouse is able to file for you now, just get it filed right now. File the I-485 while you're still in status. Well, I guess you still have to wait for your priority to be current. Ideally, you want to get that filed before your status expires. And I think it's a good idea. And hopefully your spouse becomes a US citizen during this time. I have my 2-year green card and my spouse is mistreating me. What should I do? Andrew John, this is exactly what I've been talking about. If you have a 2-year green card and your spouse is mistreating you, do not delay to take action. I want everybody to realize the fact that number one, once your I-751 gets denied, they send you to court immediately. Number two, the I-751 application already takes about 2 years to process. So if you have to wait all that time just to find out that your spouse is gonna not cooperate with you, you've lost a lot of time. If you are already suffering problems in your marriage right now, please look into whether you can qualify for an I-751 with a waiver. And let me just give you some examples. There's a few different waivers available, but the two most common waivers for an I-751. And when I say a waiver, it means basically waiving the joint filing requirement, basically excusing the need for you to beg your wife to help you file for your I-751, right? You probably already went through it once when you got your green card. You probably had to convince your spouse to stay with you, or you had to go through all of their abuse and their mistreatment just so you could see the end of your case. And now that the end of your case has come, you find out, oh my God, it's only a 2-year green card and I still got to go through more of this, right? So how much can you put up with? So there are usually 2 types of waivers that you might be able to do. The first is based upon divorce. However, you need the divorce certificate and you need a lot of evidence to prove the marriage was real. And if you don't have a lot of evidence, or your divorce is not final, or you're not divorced at all, then we have to look to see if you might qualify for the waiver of the joint filing requirement based upon you suffering extreme cruelty and battery in your marriage. And what I mean by this is, I want you to think about how much is your spouse using their power and their position over you as a US citizen to try to control what you do, what you say, how you look, where you go, who you talk to, how you spend your money. How much is your spouse exerting their power and control over your life? And if they're manipulating things, if they're putting you down, they're chipping away at your self-esteem, they're hurting you emotionally, they're hurting you physically, they're hurting you financially, then all of these can add up to us being able to show that you have suffered in your marriage, and you may be able to file your I-751 by yourself. So if you have a 2-year green card, don't wait until it's about to expire to take action. Take action now, because you don't need to wait until it's expiring to file. And it's better for you to take control of your situation and find your way to freedom now, rather than keep yourself in the situation for more years and just keep stressing out and worrying about what will happen to you. Okay, Andrew, give us a call, 212-248-7907. All right, guys, this is all the time that I have for today. I hope you all got a lot of value out of this. Please give our office a call, 212-248-7907. We have been helping clients all over the US for the past 15 years. And somebody asked me, how come I haven't heard of this case before? And the reality is that not all lawyers do the same thing, and not all lawyers look at clients' lives the same way. And I like to think that when somebody comes to my office for help, we are looking at their situation in a much more sympathetic and compassionate way, and understanding the real dynamics of what you are going through. And not every lawyer is like that. And that's what makes all the difference in fighting for you. And you deserve a lawyer who's going to fight for you. Okay. My name is Moumita Rahman. Thank you so much. Good night and God bless.